forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear? You think you've merely stopped a business deal? That is not the case. The Arabs have taken billions of dollars out of this country, and now they must put it back. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale? You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today. What do you think the Russians talk about in their councils of state? Karl Marx? They get out their linear programming charts, statistical decision theories, Minimax solutions, and compute the price-cost probabilities of their transactions and investments, just like we do. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime. And our children will live, Mr. Beale, to see that perfect world in which there's no war or famine, oppression or brutality. One vast and ecumenical holding company for whom all men will work to serve a common profit, in which all men will hold a share of stock, all necessities provided, all anxieties tranquilized, all boredom amused. And I have chosen you, Mr. Beale, to preach this evangel.
Why me?
Because you're on television, dummy. 60 million people watch you every night of the week, Monday through Friday.
I have seen the face of God.
You just might be right, Mr. Beale.
That evening, Howard Beale went on the air to preach the corporate cosmology of Arthur Jensen.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have...
But it wasn't real.
Your mind makes it real.
If you're killed in the Matrix, you die here?
The body cannot live without the mind.
Welcome
the desert of the real.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
This is a where they do that at radio exclusive.
Secretary of State for each individual state gets a salary. Technically, they are supposed to spend every dime that they take in to administer or be administrators of, or my favorite word here in the last couple of weeks, trustee, to act as a trustee for whom? The beneficiary. Who's the beneficiary? You are. So anytime they do not, or they make a profit, that's your money. So when we had, I don't know if you guys remember, way back we had Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, as the governor. During his term, there was a profit. A surplus. Now, what's some bean counter? How's that supposed to happen? Let me go back. God dog it. You know, I step on my own toes sometimes, and then I forget to say ouch. When they do a state budget, what they budget for is basically admin costs. Paper, pencils, heat, lights, gas, phone, water, employees, pension funds, and that sort of thing. Because remember, any expenditures, anything a state does on behalf of the state, such as buildings, roads, any of those things, all take bond issues. They have no money. So Minnesota has a budget surplus. And as I was watching the mainstream media, local of course, the mainstream media guy said they seem to have a bigger problem when they have a surplus than they do when they have a deficit. So when they come up with this surplus, technically they're supposed to give it back. They can. It's like a nonprofit. A nonprofit must spend all of the money that it has acquired through gifts, donation, and sponsorships, and any other way that they collect their money. A nonprofit is not allowed to carry money over from one year to the next. I don't care what they do. That's part of that big number that we all know about, that 501c3.
All right, family. Peace and love. This is your host of WTDTA Radio. And I'm going to be giving you some very pertinent information on trustee training, exactly where you need to be in your infrastructure, how you're able to put these things together in a capacity where you can grow. And I want everybody to really understand that these things are designed to make you think. Before we begin, I would like to say that everything that I'm about to give to you is for educational purposes only. We do not profess to give legal advice. For those of you that seek that type of information, especially as trustees, remember trustees hire CPAs and attorneys and things like that. So please seek those individuals in their qualified positions to be able to provide you legal information. Because what we provide here is for educational purposes only. Now, what I'm going to give you now is some very pertinent information pertaining to where you are, what you need to be doing, and where you need to be at in terms of that. The reason why this is important is because a lot of folks are actually searching for answers to questions. They're searching for exactly where they need to be in their infrastructure. They're looking for information that's going to be able to be applicable in their structure. And what I would like to do in that regard is provide you a mechanism that can do that. I'm sharing the screen with a lot of folks, so I want everyone to kind of really be in tune to a couple things. I'm going to try to go through this thing as very slow as I can, but also be able to kind of share with you how these things kind of go. So for those of you that are actually locked in, I'm going to share my screen with you. And as I share my screen with you, I want you to be able to see exactly how this stuff goes. First of all, let's talk about public and private, because this is very important. What is private? Well, the private belongs to oneself. That means not public or of the state. Number one, it means of belonging, concern to a particular person, not common or general as private property. Number two, not open to the intent for or controlled by the public as a public school. Number three, it means not holding public office as a private citizen. Number four, away from public view. That means included as a private dining room. Number five, not known to the public, secret, confidential, as one's private opinion. You know, and there you have this word private as a plural and noun, gentilius, things of that sort. Okay, you get the gist. Now we go to the secret. You know, they talk about the secret. Adjective in Latin means secretus, means set apart. Also in Latin means excuse me, the secretum, which means see and apart. That's what makes up the word secret. Means shift, distinguish, discern, perceive. And I want to break down. I want everybody to understand. When you talk about public and private, you want to understand that the two don't mix. It means kept from public knowledge and from certain persons. Number two, retired, remote, secluded. keeps one's affairs to oneself. Secretive, closed. Number 4, beyond general knowledge or understanding. Incomprehensible, deeply mysterious. Also defined means concealed from sight, no notice, hidden as a secret drawer. Also number 5, acting in secret, as a secret society or secret agent. So now. Also, it's sometimes known to certain persons and purposely kept from the knowledge of others. Number 2, something not revealed, understood, or explained. Number 3, the true cause or explanation not obvious, as a secret of success, or as the secret of success. In secret, meaning without knowledge of others, secretly. Synonyms of secret: secret, covert, celestine, stealthily, furtive, subversive, and underhand. Also, when you see secret, you're going to see this word confidential. Confidential means told confident, parted in secret. 2, of or holding confidence. 3, trust private or secret matters as a confidential agent. You can also see familiar. Those are things I'm talking about when talk about privacy, secret, confidential, and public. And here's the public. Remember the two don't mix. Public meaning of, when you see the word of, it's going to mean public, belonging to or concerning the people as a whole of the community at large. Number 2, for the use or benefit of all, as a public building, as a public building. Also number 3, act in an official capacity on behalf of all people as a whole, as a public prosecutor, known by open knowledge of all or most people, as he makes this information public. It's also a noun. Also, yes, number 1, the people as a whole, community at large, a specific part of the people, those concerning together, some concern, common interest, purpose, or sporting, as the sporting public. And public means in open view, not private or secret. Why is this important? Because public and private not mixed, so the information that we're going to partake and talk about is of a private nature, a private origin. My job is to make this information readily available to those that are in trustee training, because you need to be made aware of certain provisions, certain things. How many of you guys really understand the history that actually takes place in what you call a construct? How many of you actually understand there's a lot of things going on that you really have to be made aware of? And how many of you find yourself trying to describe or discuss certain things that causes you to realize that public-private does not mix? It is hard for a lot of individuals to really see certain measures of what you're really trying to relate. I'm going to give you another aspect of his history. Now, this manual here is one that I've had a lot of time to study. A multitude of individuals have very this kind of breaks down in a way when I explain it to a lot of people, they really kind of get the gist of it. And if you want a copy of this manual, it's readily available. Just you guys know how to get in touch with me, so I'll make it very known. All right. I want you to pay attention to this. This is called Understanding Contracts and Corporations. It says my motto is just say no, or say no more. I want you to catch the double meaning. It's time to understand what really is going on. Open our eyes and take back our country. The best way to do this is hit them where it hurts. That's financial states. What is the most effective way to make others change? It's to change your behavior towards them. If you want a child to stop being mean, you simply tell that child that until he plays nicely, you won't play with him anymore. If that child needs you, he will quickly change ways. So we tell the police departments, county sheriff office, states, feds, They aren't playing by the rules of full disclosure. And tell them we won't play with them anymore. Now they change towards us, we still won't play with them because they are not cute little children. They are giant corporations that have nothing to do with lawful government. I want to read that again. They are giant corporations that have nothing to do with lawful government. And that is the point. America hasn't been a sovereign nation with lawful government more than a century. Some even argue that there never have been lawful governments, as every man is independent of all laws, except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institution formed by his fellow men without his consent. And you can find this in case law. Because we're talking about private information, I'll let you see this, so I do not have to cite this. And the key phrase there is without his consent. Remember, you must voluntarily give your consent to enter into contracts with these corporations. Now remember what Nietzsche wrote. He wrote that every time the state says everything that the state says is a lie. The state declares they are a state, and this is true. But what is the state? The state of Texas is a sub-corporation of the United States, which is a corporation operating in commerce for profit. Now, some may ask, what is the difference if they operate as a corporation? Well, if they operate as a not-for-profit corporation, and the stockholders were we the people, then that might be okay. But the fact is that every municipality, school district, public works, state, federal agents, and the United States operate in commerce for a profit. And you and I are not stockholders. These corporations are what? Privately held companies. Remember what I just covered? Private. Think about that for a minute. The entity we call government is actually a corporation. And corporations that is not owned by the American people. Who makes the corporation responsible to the people? Do they watch themselves and never harm anyone? No. And I'm going to speak on experiences. I'm going to speak on experience from here. Those who've been following WTTA radio, you understand that one of my very faithful constituents that helped launch WTTA radio was involved in an incident where I now have to fight to restore our state. Why? These corporations are privately held companies. I want you to think about that for a minute. The entity we call government is actually a corporation, and a corporation that is by the American people makes corporations responsible to the people. Do they watch themselves and never harm anyone? No. We have to go sue XYZ company because they knew tires caused hundreds of deaths. XYZ company didn't want to take responsibility because the bottom line was more important to them than in life. Beanie Weenie was a very key component to this organization. And I am forced to take measures to restore our state. Because of who she was in the quote-unquote construct they call public. The powers that decided that they would judge, jury, and executioner and simply write it off as just a bad thing. So I tell folks, understand what we're here to do, and make sure you really get the gist, especially my trustees who are actually looking at this from a certain perspective. Because you have to really get into this, really not only benefit, but know what you're dealing with, what you're up against. I'm gonna keep going. Before becoming a corporation, no one ever had to register to vote. Now they say that everyone must be registered. This is not true. Try it sometime. Go down and go down in a local election in which you are an inhabitant of that area, but are not registered to vote. Tell them that it is your right to vote, and that you don't have to register. Most likely you'll be allowed to vote, but they won't be very fond of you. You may be asked, doesn't register simply sign up? Not quite. See, when you register yourself, you formally you record formally and exactly in a list or the like. That sounds enough. Now who do you register with? The Register Star. A Register Star is an officer who has custody and charge of keeping of registry and register. Some examples of registries are registries of copyrights, deeds, wheels, motor vehicles, patents. These all have to do with property, not people. Other registries like births, deaths, marriages, voters registration, college registrations, and the like all have to do with registering natural people. Now we are going to take a leap. What really is a registry? Generally, registry applies to vessels, whereas enrollment refers to coast-wise navigation. We register ourselves. We are saying when we register ourselves, we are saying that we are vessels of foreign commerce. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that is why our names magically become capitalized. All the various, military, voting, birth certificates, death certificates, credit cards, etc. See, this essay presumes that you have an understanding of all capital letters. All capitalized fictions versus proper names that only have first name capitalized. All vessels slash ship names. See, after registry, we are no longer dealt with as natural living souls, but as vessels operating in foreign commerce. What is the foreign commerce in which we are operating? It's corporate commerce. Corporations cannot do business with natural beings. They're business corporations when we become a vessel, because a vessel is not a natural being. A vessel is fiction, just as the corporation is fiction. And now the two fictions are capable of transacting business. This all ties in with the flag law. Many people for years now have said that we are under maritime law and had us study maritime and admiralty law for court. After all, flag flown in the court is a military flag, and therefore law they are advertised by that flag is admiralty. So we are registered. We are all vessels in the sea of commerce, and all courts are commercial courts, commercial fiction, not lawful common law courts for real people. Over the course of what you call the Martin Luther King day, I had the liberty of participating in what they call a deposition. And this deposition was concerning the estate and the commercial claim that was actually made pertaining to Beanie Weenie. And I realized the very words that I was you guys just now, the very thing that I was there fighting to preserve our state. It became very clear to me that certain adjustments had to be dealing with the commercial affairs of all for the benefit of those beneficiaries within that estate. It became very pertinent. Very words that we have been studying and being applicable to so many different aspects are the very thing that keeps this whole thing of commerce afloat and in orbit. I cannot begin to describe to you what it's like to be sitting in a threshold where natural persons are referred to as fiction. And it's like business as usual. They look at the things. They are very cordial to a degree. When there was very cordial. They was very forthcoming. They was very compassionate. It came down to the business. It was just business. It was very difficult for me to cut the emotional side off and strictly deal from a business component. Because those of you that understand what that particular member meant to us, not only as family members, but as a frontier member of this movement. It's like having to sit there and listen to someone talk about your mother as if she had no value of life. She was just a piece of paper. It's just like someone talking to you about your brother, or your sister, or your son, or your daughter, as if their life had been just very words that are on a piece of paper. I tell trustees this all the time because there is a natural energy that goes with this movement. I always tell folks do not let these things become personal. And so in my best way, I weathered that storm, and I allowed the business to come forward. That's why I'm even more dedicated now to bringing fundamental information to all those that are in trusteeship. This is the information that you need in order to grow. I just simply ask that I take my word for anything. I ask that you do study and research so you make the best decision possible for your estate. Because we in commerce are all vessels in the sea of commerce, and all courts are commercial fiction. Lawful common law courts for real people. See, the position of a trustee is very intriguing when you understand how these things apply. It becomes the very thing that you need in order to true remedy. I talked to a lot of people that want remedy. They say, Brother Bazell, how do we get out of this situation? What can we do to equal the playing field? And it is a mental concept that you have to develop. And this is not something that any one person can do for another. This is something that has to be genetically engineered into your DNA. That's the best way I can say it. You have to make the mental commitment to study this information. Because all your life you've been taught public concepts. All your life you've been taught things from a consumerism standpoint. Capitalism has always been a part of who we think you are. So when you have to apply certain aspects in a commercial realm, standing not just as a beneficiary, meaning someone else is going to take care of you, but standing as a trustee fully liable and responsible, you have to have a firm foundation to stand on. And this firm foundation is predicated on what you're dealing with. So I'm gonna be very forthcoming with a lot of information. I'm gonna talk about everything that is pertinent to trustees that I feel in my private opinion is necessary. From that, I hope you take what is necessary and build upon that. I'm going to give you the information and allow you your own research from that information. I'm going to allow the trustees to be knowledgeable individuals that may need to provide you legal advice. Because what I provide here is education. It's for education. You have to be the most informed individual in the room because you are the trustee that is responsible. You have a relationship with these fictions when you take this level of responsibility. And its responsibility is not taken lightly. It's very serious. Very serious. So you have to come to a level of equal to provide the proper interpretation. Let's see. I want to go to Black's Law Dictionary. Matter of fact, this is the 7th edition Black's Law Dictionary. You can find this in the back of most 7th edition Black's Law Dictionary. Talking about legal. All right. Legal maxims. And the legal maxims are very important because you have to understand these are the actual legal opinions that are dictating a lot of your actions in commerce. Just gonna give you some things. We're just gonna go Latin phrase. So when you're actually utilizing these maxims, see how they're written because Latin is one of the original languages of law. But you're gonna get the English interpretation of how to stop. You're gonna see how these things actually apply, and they go from A to Z just to give you a few. The first one here, and I'm gonna give it to you from an English perspective that are listening and watching, taking notes, are able to really pay attention. And these are things you utilize in your administrative process. A conclusion about the use of a thing from its abuse is invalid. Say this again slowly. A conclusion about the use from its abuse is invalid. Of a thing from its abuse. In other words, I'm gonna give you a very synopsis. Those of you that IRS website and you visit, or you type into the search abusive trust. The conclusion about the use of a thing from its abuse what? Invalid. A conclusion about the use of a thing from its invalid. Meaning that you can't. They didn't say it was illegal. They just said it was. Because a lot of individuals abuse it. When you're operating in trust, the IRS, also illegal fiction, uses the conclusion about the use of trust, which is invalid. They drew an abusive conclusion based on the abuse of abusive trust. But they use it as a tactic. They're trying to keep the sheep on the plantation. They're using it to make from a certain perspective. This is something you have to know. Bezel Bay cannot constantly continue to try to pour fundamental information into your the legal maxim in the 7th edition Black's Law Dictionary. Here's another one. No injury is done by things long acquiesced in. I want you to think about this. No injury acquiesced in. What do I mean? Acquiesce means silence. Your refusal to respond. I'll give you a scenario. You have a company that wants you to deal in their jurisdiction. But the counter offer was that structure that is governed under a sense of authority that protects both. The company wants to continue to do business with you by virtue of contract. But they don't want to lose their jurisdiction. So if there was never a formal rebuttal. Formal meaning I present to you paperwork. This is where we are in the Hague. You are stating that you are illegal fiction is governed by states and federal governments. Neither we have a contract unlimited. That's a constitution. I'm just simply putting forth that this information and the way we're taking care of things from this jurisdiction. Your entity is governed under a certain aspect. And because of where you are and your refusal to take on these immunities and indemnities, you're not willing to step into a position of protection. Rather stay in a position of receivership, which is a form of acquiescence. So no injury is actually done because you longed acquiescence into that. You presented that as trustee who absorbed that information and said, "Okay, that's fine, but this is where we're going to be able to become a binding agreement. Then you have to take in consideration all these various things that were done, not just from the law, on the balance sheet, comes from unlimited potential. No injury is done by things long acquiesced in. You see how these things apply? I'm only bringing these things because I want you to see that these legal opinions such number and sense is to be given abbreviations that grant may not be void. Such number and sense is to be given to abbreviations that the grant may not Think about tax code. I want you to think about statutory. I want you to think about the Uniform Commercial Code. That is annexed by abbreviations and numbers. It says such numbers and cents may not be. In other words, if you do not understand the legal behind the statute, if you do not understand that you've never in the public broken the law because law is legislation, you've been deduced to codification. If you do not understand the ability to stand in an aspect of immunity, the grant may not be void. Which goes to a very good legal maximum that most of you have heard. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Ignorance of you gotta go back to the source because the language and the aspect of contract. A lot of times what we call legalese is the connotative and denotative meaning of words in all contracts. If there have not been an explicit definition of every single word English word that's in a contract, and positive and negative statements in those contracts. Clear definition. There isn't full disclosure. So they have actually prohibited your ability or be put in a position of true due diligence. A lot of you individuals, what I've said should make a lot of sense. And just for the naysayers, you want to see the legal maximus of ignorance of the laws. Let me show this to you. Let me show this to you. Ignorance of the laws, no excuse. I'm gonna show this to you because I want you to do your own research. I want you to be very aware of what you're dealing with. You know, egg, which is IG. There we go. I'm going to show you how these things have actually played. This is the very famous. This is the Latin phrase. I'm not going to cite it. I'm just going to show it. This is the legal term. This is the Latin phrase. I'm showing this to you in real time. So when you cite this, you can utilize this in its Latin form. Which means this. Let me give you another one. Ignorance of the judge. The misfortune of the innocent. Here's another good one. Ignorance of the fact. Excuses. Ignorance of the fact. Ignorance of the law does not excuse. Every person must be considered negligent. That's why if someone brings to you facts and you do not consider the facts, it does not excuse. Ignorance of the fact. If someone brings you the fact, that's why we deal in fact, not fiction. Here's another one. Ignorance of the law, which everyone is bound to know, excuses no one. If I bring to you the law, which everyone is bound to know. Why you're bound to know? Because I'll give you a very perfect commerce. The law, ignorance of the law, everyone is bound because you're operating in commerce in that capacity. Excuses no one. And here's another one. Very good. Ignorance of one's right does not prejudice just because I'm in the does not prejudice because you don't like it. You got to come to a level of fruition. Meaning to know. Ignorance of the law excuses no one. Ignorance is presumed where knowledge is not proved. Like you understand, ignorance is presumed where knowledge is not proved. You know, and ignorance doesn't excuse. I don't presume ignorance. When knowledge is not proved. You don't reciprocate knowledge. You don't bring back. I can go on and on.
But I just wanted to show you this. This is in the Black's Law Dictionary.
You're seeing this in the legal maxims. These are very, very important. You know, we talked last night about the 10 levels of legal maxims that
we're going to talk about the corporation.
Because see, it's a fiction. It's
gotta have a soul.
Because it's not real.
Fiction.
And yes, there's a spirituality
that goes with
what we're talking about.
A lot
of people don't realize
that they kind of live. And again, you may be emotionally correct, civilly or commercially wrong,
because you're not applying
certain things.
Here's a good one right here. Let's talk about this.
just for a second. That an act that is let me blow this up because I want you to see this. My peepers ain't what they used to be.
I see Beanie,
tripping right now.
Yes, in the simplest terms,
to say
of an act that is lawful that it
not forbidden by law.
To say that it is legal
implies that it is done
or performed in accordance with the forms of usage of law, or a technical lawful more clearly implies an ethical content that does
So legal is the rules
the federal government places on its citizens.
Laws are made in the democracy.
So legal is the federal
government. To say
of an act
is lawful
that
implies that it is authorized,
sanctioned, or at any
not forbidden
by law.
To say it is legal
implies
that it is done
or
performed in accordance with the
usage
that does legal.
I'm gonna say this again. Lawful more clearly implies an ethical content than does legal.
The word legal is used
as a synonym
legal and lawful.
When you hear
trustees
say
we're
using lawful
legal
money, or
we're
using
lawful money.
There's a difference
between
lawful money
and legal.
When you get in the trustee,
and you have to know these things.
And this is not something that I can pour into your head.
This is something that you have to study
immensely. We have to study these things
because you have to get these through scrolling through the various different topics in document because
you're gonna get to
this point.
You know, and I don't want to overwhelm
a lot of folks.
I just want you to understand
certain aspects of this so you're very clear.
We're going to just
is one consisting of one person
and his successors
in some particular station
who are incorporated by law
in order to give
some legal
capacities
and
advantages,
particularly
that perpetuality.
So is a bishop.
So are some
districts
from their several chapters,
and so is every
parson.
Keyword.
When they say parson, different from
parson or vicar. When they talk about corporations, they're in that capacity.
Now watch this.
Look at this definition.
Corporation.
Usually a type of corporation consisting of only one person becomes a corporation. Death or resignation. Limited.
Corporations
is this.
Listen
spiritual
to
spiritual corporations, the members of which are
entirely
spiritual persons,
and incorporated as such
for the further
religion and
perpetuality, and perpetuating the rights of the church.
Get your way
So I'm just showing you. To be very clear. Corporate souls. They gotta have a soul. And again. You know. I want you to understand. Very impactful. Hopefully, this is helpful to a lot of you. You know. Hopefully, this is helpful for a lot of us. Hopefully, it's trustees. Starting to open up a light bulb in where you are. I know what this document is, but I wanna. This is the handbook. I think you guys may already have. You should already have it. I'm gonna show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. You want to when we talk about the Federal Reserve, you gotta know who owns the Federal Reserve. See, a lot of folks don't realize when we talk about it being a private corporation. See these right here. These are the entities that own. Now, when we talk about the Federal Reserve, we're talking about all these things that are attached to it. See right there, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Commerce, Chase. There's the shareholders. They are by names. That's a while. Why? Because I want you to see this is real. And again. In this study, I just want you to understand. Here's another. See right there. Federal Reserve because they own it. I told you it's a private corporation. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation starting with Mr. Rockefeller himself. And these are all the subsidiaries that are part of that. Yeah. Yo, you didn't know that? You didn't know that the Federal Reserve was actually broken down that way? No one ever showed you that. When we talk about the Federal Reserve, we're not just to hear ourselves talk. This is actually documented. American Express. Federal Reserve is all these things. And there's no more Federal and Federal Express. And you're wondering why the Federal Reserve lends money to the banks that are now in circulation. And you're now starting to figure out that because they lent money to controlling the ebb and flow of commerce. Dealing with this central banking system. This is important. I know this is a lot to take in, but as trustees, I want you to keep up. I want you to understand. In the research, but again, I'm here to get you to start thinking. You got to understand how these things work. So when you're speaking, trustees, you're speaking on a and that foundation makes sense. It's based in fact because ignorance of the law is no excuse. It's no excuse. It is no excuse. But again, I'm gonna let you keep listening and keep to know. I don't want you just to take my word for it. I need you to know exactly how these things work. I want you to see how these things work, and I want you to make the best educated decision possible.
You can carry over admin costs, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20% of your admin costs. And you must keep accurate records. On the flip side of that, all states must balance their books. So now, what we should be asking, East Coast Coast or the West Coast or in the Midwest or the South or the North, it doesn't matter. What you should be asking, what we should be asking is, because that's where the bean counter comes in. They get a bean counter, they get an actuary. And based on numbers, they can actually predict within exactly how much is going to be collected as far as taxes and fees and you say, what are we talking about? Well, you know, this trust thing is really deep, and this is all about. But I'm using this story because it's so pertinent to what we got to deal with, and then we're gonna go into some mind games that trustees do, because trustees play a mind game on us. White lies, but I'm headed to that one because this is so powerful moment as far as we do and what we try to explain that makes sense.
Perpetuating mindset, giving away. I know that Donald Trump in the administration of the United States, they were actually looking to eliminate the estate tax in the United States with his campaign. And so there's a lot of good things that obviously would happen if the estate tax was eliminated, because obviously you wouldn't have a chance to look into the tax. His campaign we're looking to take care of in his current campaign. When it comes to that, estate taxes are huge. That's what erodes wealth from one generation to the next. So I just wanted to talk about who do you trust, because as you go to the trust accounts for the trust, one of the questions that they always ask you as a trustee, and this is actually one of the second most important questions, is who is your successor trustee? And I always loved when that question is asked, because it really shows, well, who after you are incapacitated. It's like saying, who do you want as your power of attorney? But ultimately, it's more on the respect of the trust and the trust being able to live on, because the trust doesn't die. Me and you may die as humans, but the trust doesn't die.